Hey everybody! Woo! It's Motivation Mornings with Marnie and Melissa and her two very active kitties right now. I'm Melissa Houston. I'm a health insurance specialist and financial planner in Victoria, BC. And I've got two very active kitties right now.
I look forward to hearing them. They're like, I love the kitty energy to start our day. It's like, what's that energy? Thump, thump, thump. And good morning, everybody. I'm Marnie Dangerfield, and I'm also here in Victoria, BC, and a wellness advocate and all sorts of things. And I am a little about me this week. I'm actually on an intentional creativity retreat this week. So that's why the inspiration of sharing a painting behind me.
I love it so much. It's beautiful.
So, and yes, so if you're here live with, good morning, Rose. Thanks for being here. Always enjoy you being here. And yes, we love to hear comments and things in the chat and the comments below. And I'm monitoring on my phone, so feel free.
One of the reasons we do it live. We want interaction.
Want that interaction. And so just to give what we're going to be doing, we always like to start off with our value statement, and then we'll be sharing daily inspiration. So I'll share what's inspiring me this week. Melissa will share what's inspiring her. And then we'll have a supply of wellness discussion tip, however it forms. Each week is slightly different. And then Melissa will be sharing our contact information. And then we like to always share gratitude. Well, each of us share our gratitude for this week. And we do hope as we go along that you share what's inspiring you and what you're grateful for as well in the chat. And then we'll round out with one of Melissa's inspirational quotes.
Yay. Oh, thank you for the agenda, Marnie. I don't think I've ever thanked you before. Thank you for doing that. Our value statement. Today we gather
in the spirit of possibility,
in support of community,
to encourage holistic well-being,
to empower our authentic selves,
to share appreciation,
to express compassion,
to enjoy this gift of life.
Yes. Lovely, lovely, lovely. Oh, so you're going to start us off today, are you, Marnie?
I am. And so what's inspiring me this week, I was on a call yesterday with this retreat led by the focus. There's such a focus on this week of different things, but mysticism and prophetess and painter and all these different things. And there was a presentation by the amazing women of color in our group about some mystical, inspirational women of color, Indigenous and Black people, women of color who I just had never heard of. And the list of their accomplishments and through all the adversity and things that were pushing them down, they still persevered, had such strength and commitment to their causes and helping their communities, themselves, their families. And it was just, I was like, wow, I have a whole other learning curve that I'm excited to embark on and to learn more about. And even they were sharing, there's one woman whose name, I hope I don't say this wrong, Nayira Wahid, and she's a poet. And I've had quite the life and such. And she's apparently one of the most quoted poets on Instagram. Like that's a thing, but anyway, but it's like, okay, so she's well, and she's just outside my realm, but just hearing the adversity and things that they had to go through in their life and how they persevered and with kindness and caring. And it was just it was really inspirational to hear that and to be reminded of the human, of what we can do individually, no matter what's happening in our life, that it can be hard and there is a need for community, and just a lot of really great reminders on that. So that's what's inspiring me this week.
Wow. I would love to see that list.
Yeah. So I'll get it more compiled and I'll share it with you because, yeah, I was like, oh, my goodness. I don't hear about that in school, or we didn't growing up, and my goodness.
Yeah, and I feel like the Black Lives Matter movement over the past summer really started bringing more of those kind of people to the forefront, and more information about them have been shared. So I'm so grateful that that is happening, and we are learning more about people we've never heard of before and the amazing things that they've done. Wow, that's awesome.
Mhm.
Thank you so much,
You
Marnie.
bet. Oh, and good morning, Leanne. Nice, so wonderful to have you here. Happy day to you. You're here just in time to hear what's inspiring Melissa this week. And feel free to share in the comments what's inspiring you, of course.
So mine is known to everybody. It's actually the U.S. election, which is it's just such a it's such a big topic, and people have lots of feelings about it, and a lot of those feelings are challenging feelings, and that's exactly why I'm trying to lean into it instead of just giving into fear of uncertainty and everything, there's just so many feelings. So I'm really trying to do what I've mentioned before on mornings when challenging emotions come up. I'm trying to really find the growth opportunities within myself, to really feel, to try and really recognize what feelings I'm having, and trying to understand why I'm having them, um, and if and how I want to respond to them. Really trying to also find that balance of being caring and informed, but also not letting it take over my thoughts and my overall feelings and well-being for the day. So um, I'm trying to approach it with an attitude of positivity, and recognizing that I myself don't have, I mean, it's not even our country. That's the funny thing. It's not even directly related to me. Out there in the sphere of the world, obviously it impacts people, but I'm trying to see and feel the opportunities that are coming up to help me grow as a person, and understand others too. I like to try and promote openness and communication. So to not immediately shut down if something doesn't make sense or seems to be not resonating immediately with my own beliefs, but just trying to hear them out as I would hope other people would hear me out, and reverse, be the change, be who you would want other people to be in a political environment, that kind of thing. So that's what's going on with me right
Yay! That is wonderful. Yes, and such good practice. I love that you're doing that.
That's what it is. It's definitely a practice.
It's a practice, yeah, and it's in any moment, it's like, well, we may forget and might get caught up, and then it's like, oh wait, how do you come back, right? Like, wait, I have set this intention, and I know for you, and through what I'm going to be sharing, I'd love for you to share a bit, if you feel called, a bit about how that's going for you with what I'm about to share, because
Oh,
with your intention practice, but yeah, that, as always, it seems just seems to feeds in so well with what I'm going to share today, which, like I said, can end up being more of a discussion between us too. So feel free to jump in, because yes, this election, and I'm so glad you mentioned, yeah, we are Canadian, but we're citizens of the world, and we of course care about our neighbors, and I don't know about you, but I know quite a few Americans, and so we do feel what's happening, whether we're not as in it as they are, like you said, but we're still living it and feeling it as well. And so last night we had a circle with sort of Canadians in our community leading it, and the focus was on self-care. And what came up for me this morning was to share some of that. Is that on situations like this, when we've had such a year already with everything. I don't think I need to go through the list, but but with all that's going on, and then now there's this uncertainty. How can we really raise our self-awareness and what's going on? That's what I'm hearing from you, is that what are you feeling? And having that encouragement to allow ourselves to feel what we need to feel, and oftentimes we're sort of programmed like, oh, like you were saying, well, I'm not American, so maybe not feel it, but there might be times today where there's just deep sadness for what's happening, or you see something, and just allowing that feeling to be and not make it wrong, and then it can flow through, because often we can squelch our feelings and then they get stuck, and that can add to our stress and dis-ease. I'm going to mute myself for a sec, sorry.
That almost reminds me of what you were talking about, I think last week. Was it last week? About the stressors and the stress that had been mentioned by the guests on the Brene Brown podcast. Was that last week?
Well, it was the last time we were together. Last week was you got to go live, and I wrote about active hope and Joanna Macy, it was interesting, also was discussed last night, was the concept of active hope, of even when you're not maybe necessarily feeling optimistic or hopeful, that you still set that intention of taking a small step towards something positive, and then you're creating that hope. It's not like I'm going to wait till I'm hopeful to do anything, because sometimes if you're taking all in the news, it can be quite overwhelming. But it's that, how do you set that intention of like, wait, I'm going to do my little bit today, and your bit could be just tending yourself so that you're showing up, like you say, being the change. And that can be really difficult if one's caught up in fear and the stories and that stressful that mode. So and so there is that concept of the self-care, but there's also, we're talking about like community care. As humans, we do value community and that connection that we require. So who in your life can be in that circle, whether it's your family or a really close friend, or if you have a craft group that you're a part of, where it's a safe space to connect, because we are stronger, and when we're helping others as well, it also, without helping others without draining ourselves, but just being that support for others as well, can also help us in these times. So my main thing today was, what a frog. It won't go away. Sorry, everybody. Yeah. Do you want to just talk a little bit about share how if you're comfortable, sorry to put you on the spot, about how your intention, because I know there's that power of, even today for each of us, what intention do we want to set for ourselves?
Mm-hmm.
What space do we want to take up and stuff? So I'm not sure how that's going for you, and I will work on my throat.
Well, I'll say, I moment to moment, when I'm looking at how I'm feeling, I'm trying really hard to really recognize whether my thoughts are being motivated by fear or hope. And because I feel like they generally fall in one of those two categories when discussing these kinds of things. And I mean, I think there is still value in recognizing why fear is coming up, and doing things to maybe not necessarily make the fear go away, but recognizing the limitations of what that fear is, and making the conscious choice of, I want to be the person that lives in hope, and that is where I want to put my energy. So yeah, it's more about being intentional with in recognizing my feelings, and then letting that guide my thoughts from there if I can. It might take a few moments to
Exactly.
work
Well, yeah,
through it.
and I love that you're mentioning because it's that reminder again. It's a practice. But you're you keep at it, and you're like, oh wait, have I? And so you're building that process, that practice for yourself, and soon you'll have those the wires firing together in your brain where that starts to become more of your go-to. Like, oh wait, am I in fear? Am I? And as you say, fear is there. It's not to make the fear wrong, but it's like, is fear guiding my decision right now, or how can I shift? Do I, and that was going to be part of my what I was going to share today too, is those reminders of what can you connect to, what to your joy, to your heart, that gets you back to your center of what you value on days like this. And um obviously for me, I mentioned it a lot before, but that sometimes just getting out in nature and just connecting with something greater. When you're pausing with a treat, you're reminded you're not alone when you're in nature, and you're reminded how resilient nature is, and you are nature as well. So it's this whole, so there's that, but there's also, what brings you joy, like singing to a song, or, yeah, I was
That one
what,
resonates with me.
what is something that's going to lift your energy a bit, and not to just ignore everything or say this isn't, but just in those moments of, if you're feeling like, okay, fear is like, how do you get back to your center and your strength and your heart? And so I can suggest all sorts of things, but the more you become aware of what that is for you, some people it's music, some people it's nature, some it's creating with your hands, or there's a lot with creativity in whatever form, cooking, drawing. It's a way to express. There's a way to move the energy through, and so it's a really powerful thing to be considering. What is it for you that lights you up? And I appreciate Leanne sharing about, yeah, it's hard. You can't help but feel the feeling of the US. She has friends and family there, and you feel it. And so allowing that feeling, and also what can you do for yourself so that you can be in a better space for them as well, to be a support. Um, so yeah, that was the message today, was that reminder of care for self so you can care for others, and just I love how you put it, that intention of the hope. What is it that you can be doing, so that, and not making it wrong if you shift into fear and frustration, and like allowing, if you're angry, like to in a safe, healthy way to release it, but then how do you get back and to your true self, your resilient self, your whole you we're here in this time for a reason, because I truly believe that we can deal with this. The more self-aware and awake we are to our needs, and how to help ourselves and help others, the stronger we are moving forward.
So powerful and wonderful. Thank you so much, Marnie.
So thanks for letting me go off. I really appreciate you sharing about your intention.
This is why we're here. Oh, so wonderful. Oh, okay. I will. It's contact sharing time. Woo.
And feel free in the comments, anybody, I see there's a few people here watching with us live. If there's tips, something you do that helps you connect to your heart or your joy, we'd love to hear.
I would love to hear. Yeah. And you can share that multiple ways. If you are in fact joining us live, you can just pop it in the comments. But you are also more than welcome to email us any thoughts, comments, inspirations, ideas, feedback, anything really, to motivation.mornings@gmail.com. If you are watching us not on our Facebook page, please feel free to visit us there. And that's where we're going live every week. So it's the best place to interact with us, MM with MM. We have our Instagram, motivation_mornings_with_MM. We're posting reminders and our motivation quotes, and maybe the occasional other fun thing like Halloween costumes. And then we have our YouTube channel. So we're going to post the recording of any of these when the tech works. And I think it's working this week. So we'll get this one posted up on YouTube. And that one, we have the bit.ly up there. 2T0PRTY. I'm assuming those capitals are important, but I should really test that and see if that's true. But if you are not able to scribble that down, I can always provide that to you via Facebook or email. And that's really a great spot for anyone who's a big YouTuber who would like to subscribe to us on there and get updates when we post the recordings in case you aren't able to join us live here on Facebook. Hey, and should I do my gratitude then?
Yes, please.
Okay. Well, I'm at this very, very moment, I'm still very grateful for what you just shared because it just, it really hit me. It felt great. But I also wanted to express some gratitude to Terry Kerr, who is our new managing director at eWomen Network. If you have watched us for a while, we have mentioned eWomen Network a few times. It's a wonderful networking group of mostly women, but it's throughout. Actually, it's international now. It's Canada, US, Australia. So if you are not watching us in Victoria, there might be a local chapter near you. But anyways, with Terry, she has just been so busy with so many things, and we had a team meeting, leadership team meeting last night, and I can tell she was feeling overwhelmed, but she cares so much about doing a really good job and making our group as enjoyable and successful and helpful as possible. And I just appreciate her caring so much, and how much effort she is putting into it, even with all the other things going on in her life. So I'm feeling really grateful that we have her as our current managing director.
I love that. Yes, definitely. And sorry I missed that meeting last night. I was on another meeting, but yes, her energy and how much she cares just comes through so much, and that's so powerful for a group to have a leader like that. That it's like, okay, I'm gonna lean in. I care too. She cares. So,
Exactly. Yeah.
and Leanne's cheering on Terry too.
Uh,
She says a big thank you to Terry because she knows her as well. So, yay, wonderful.
how about
And
you?
so my gratitude this week goes out to my intentional creativity community. I'm on this retreat on this week. It's it's a place where all the feels get to be felt and expressed and supported, and there's this great caring. That caring comes up because we've created a caring community, and it's a great space to get to be in this week, with everything that's going on. I'm really grateful for that, and for the women in that community. There's just some inspiring, powerful women in the community that lift me up, and it segues a little bit in there. We will next week be having a guest on our show, and she is uh, also a Canadian who's in in our intentional creativity community, which is global. They're all over the world, these women, but our guest next week, she's also from Canada. So we will have a special guest on next week's show. So that's my gratitude. That's me. And feel free to share in the comments if you're grateful, what you're grateful for. We'd love to hear it.
I'm digging my window. It looks like there's just this gorgeous sunlight coming through my window, and it's not really, but it looks that way. So I like it.
I was gonna say I love it. It's just like this beam of light, just like, oh, Melissa, and then seeing the green, like the trees out there. It's really very pleasant in your pictures. I love your backdrop. Oh, and thank you, Leanne. She's thanking us and giving us hearts. We love you, Leanne.
And all right, so finish off today, we're going to bring up not that, but this. It's our inspirational quote. Today we have, "Hope is the thing with feathers that perches in the soul and sings the tunes without the words and never stops at all," by Emily Dickinson. I just felt like something hopeful today.
So grateful for you and for you choosing that quote today. That is just so perfect. Thank you.
My
Oh,
pleasure. And thank you so much for everyone who joined us live. You are wonderful. We hope you have a most wonderful Wednesday. And and next week too, we should also mention.
oh,
But also, next Wednesday is Remembrance Day here in Canada, which is technically a holiday in some provinces, not Ontario for some weird reason. But we're going to move
thank you.
our webcast to Tuesday. So we will be seeing you Tuesday next week with our extra special guest.
Yes, and just want to give a shout out to Rose and Leanne. Thank you so much for sharing what you're grateful for. That's awesome. And yes, Rose wishes us, and Leanne are both saying thank you and have a great day. So thank you both as well, and we so appreciate you. And yes, so November 10th, I need to remember that too. I will. So
Make it
thank you all. Wishing you a kind, caring, gentle, tender, wonderful present day.
Perfect. Bye.